Thank you, Ciara. I suppose the issue of housing is an issue that we have across every part of the state, and really there is, and we go through it here about all the places in Dublin and all the crises that are in every city and in the urban areas. I represent a very rural constituency, and yet these very same problems exist. And one of the big reasons that I think is a huge problem for it, and one of the recoveries that we've had, and the biggest recovery we've had in this state, unfortunately, is a recovery for landlords. The only people that seem to be making money at the moment are the landlords. And rents are going up and up and up. And even in rural Ireland, we see that happening all over the place. And it's a serious problem that needs to be tackled. And just to focus on one particular part of it, I think, is the whole banking sector and how that sector has affected the housing market. And we had a crisis in banking for many years that many would say was the cause of our economic crisis. But that crisis has had a knock-on effect and has caused also the housing crisis. The mortgage arrears and the number of families that are in mortgage arrears is a serious problem across the entire country. I'm meeting people every day of the week who are in serious bother trying to pay their mortgages and trying to avoid the knock on the door from the sheriff. And this is a serious problem that needs to be tackled. The repossession and the numbers of repossessions that's happening across the state, is something that continues to grow. And unfortunately, if we continue in this manner, and the courts at the moment are holding it off, but if we are in a situation in the near term where they start repossessing more and more houses, those people are going to end up homeless. And that is a serious problem. The vulture funds, and this is an issue that has been mentioned by several other contributors earlier on, the vulture funds and the way they are coming in and threatening to take houses from people is a problem that has to be dealt with. And I would call on the government to immediately come in, and if they can, and I'm absolutely confident that it can be done because it was done in other countries, simply take the money and buy through state intervention, buy the properties back from the vulture funds at the money that they paid for them. Many of them a €300,000 mortgage, they're buying it at 10%. So they're buying a property for 30,000 that's worth 300,000. We can rent that property back to the people that have it, and the state could set up a scheme where those people could buy it back over time. That is the kind of intervention that we need to see happening as quickly as possible. Another issue which is also related to the banks and what they're doing in this state is the fact that variable interest rates for mortgage in Ireland is almost twice what it is in other European countries. Yet those same banks are getting the money from the ECB at the exact same rate as the Irish banks are getting them at. The government needs to take issue with that and needs to tackle that problem. There is no way that the ordinary people of Ireland who are going out working hard every day and trying to pay their mortgages and pay their way should be used as scapegoats to bail out these banks with exorbitant rates of interest on top of it. The other issue, I think, which is very clear, and many people have talked about, the need to build more houses. The fact is that an awful lot of families out there cannot afford to get a mortgage, because the first thing they need with the new rules is they need this large deposit. And most of the young people that I meet out there that want to buy a house or build a house, if they are going to try and have that large deposit for it, they simply can't afford it, because they're at the moment in rented accommodation, which is paying probably twice what they should be paying for the level of rents that should be available in this state. The number of houses that we've heard about are empty in many parts of the country. And unless there is clear intervention, and this is what this committee needs to do, this committee needs to set up clear intervention that the state can take to protect the people's rights rather than to protect the rights of the banks. And that is the problem that we have in this country. It's the banks are being protected all the time and the people are being put to pay the price. And that needs to end, and it is one of the central causes of the housing crisis in this country.
Thank you, Deputy Kenny.